I should have been home late that night. That was the plan. I told Emily I would be working late, but in truth, I left the office early because I missed her. I stopped by our favorite wine shop, picked up a bottle of the same red we toasted with on our wedding night, and drove home with a quiet grin on my face. I had no idea that grin would vanish the moment I turned the doorknob. I had no clue that just past that threshold, my life was about to shatter into 1,000 irreparable pieces. Because as I opened the bedroom door, I froze, and then I died inside. There she was. My wife. My Emily. Naked. Moaning. Underneath Jake, my best friend since middle school. He did not even stop when he saw me. Neither did she. They just stared, as if I was the one who betrayed them. And in that moment, with my heart splitting in my chest and my hands trembling like a storm was ripping through me, I knew something deep inside me would never be the same again. Before I continue, let me quickly thank every one of you watching this right now. I appreciate every subscriber from the bottom of my heart. And to all my new and returning viewers who have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Your support is the fuel that keeps this channel going strong. Also, do not forget to drop your thoughts in the comments after this story. I really want to hear from you. My name is Daniel Carter, and I am a 38-year-old financial analyst living in Charlotte, North Carolina. I grew up in this town, built my life here, built my career, and eventually, built my marriage. Or at least I thought I did. My wife, Emily Carter, is 35, a marketing executive, sharp as a whip, stunning, and the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room. I fell in love with her ambition, her smile, and her laugh that once felt like sunlight. We had been married for 7 years. Not always perfect, but I never thought it was fragile. I never thought it was disposable. Then there was Jake, my best friend for over 2 decades. He had been my best man. My brother in all but blood. He knew everything about me, my childhood struggles, my dreams, my fears. I never imagined he would become the villain of my story. It began small. Subtle. That is how betrayal usually sneaks in. Emily started working late more often. She would get calls in the middle of the night and take them in the bathroom. She began locking her phone. She stopped laughing at my jokes, stopped reaching for my hand while we watched movies. Our conversations grew hollow. She was still polite. Still smiled. But it was empty, like she was smiling through me, not at me. Jake started acting different too. He used to come around every Sunday to watch football, grill steaks, and toss back beers. Then, suddenly, he had work stuff every weekend. He became distant, harder to reach. Something in my gut began to itch, but I buried it under the weight of trust. Until that night. It was a Friday. Emily thought I would be at a client dinner until 10 p.m. But the client canceled last minute, and instead of heading to a bar or hanging out with coworkers, I decided to surprise my wife. Maybe, deep down, I needed to reconnect. Maybe part of me already knew something was wrong and was reaching for hope. As I walked in, the house was dim. The air was too still. Something felt off. I heard nothing at first. Just the ticking clock and the hum of the refrigerator. I crept upstairs, clutching the wine bag and flowers like a fool. And then I heard it. The muffled sound. A rhythmic creaking. A moan. Then his voice. I cannot describe the feeling. My stomach dropped. My legs buckled slightly as if gravity shifted just for me. I opened the bedroom door and stood frozen in the doorway. Emily was on her back, her legs wrapped around Jake. Her eyes were shut, her mouth open. She gasped his name like a song. Jake was sweating, grunting, looking straight at her, until his eyes met mine. He stopped moving. She did not. It was surreal. As if I stepped into a movie. One of those twisted late-night drama films where nothing makes sense and everything hurts. I did not say a word. I just stood there, holding the wine and the flowers. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it echo in my skull. Emily gasped and pulled the covers over her naked body. Jake scrambled off the bed like a coward caught red-handed. But I did not speak. Not one word. I dropped the wine. The bottle shattered against the hardwood floor. Red spilled across the ground like blood. I walked away. I walked out of the house I paid for. Away from the woman I promised forever to. Away from the man I trusted more than any other. That night I sat in my car for hours. No music. No calls. I just stared at the dashboard in silence. My mind rewound everything. Our wedding day, our anniversary trip to Aspen, the night she cried in my arms when her father died. Every memory now felt poisoned. I did not cry. Not then. The tears would come later. What came first was rage. It simmered under my skin like lava. Slow, steady, dangerous. But I was not the kind of man to scream or punch walls. I was the kind who planned. I was the kind who waited. They had no idea what they had just awoken inside me. I returned home the next day. She was gone. Probably at her sister's place, or maybe with Jake, I did not care. I walked through our home and looked at everything with new eyes. The wedding photos on the wall made me sick. The perfume on her vanity made me furious. Her clothes, her shoes, her journals, they all became evidence of deception. And then I opened the safe in the study and took the first step in reclaiming control. I took everything. I did not scream. I did not chase her down or send angry messages. I did not burn her clothes or bash Jake's windshield. That would have given them too much satisfaction, too much power. I wanted them to feel what I felt, not just in a moment of shock, but in the slow unraveling of everything they thought they had secured. So I decided I would destroy them, legally, emotionally, and silently. First, I took my peace. After that night, I disappeared for a week. I checked into a boutique hotel on the other side of town under a fake name using a second ID I had from a work travel incident. I needed silence. I needed stillness. I needed to think like a man who had been reborn from betrayal. Each day, I sat at the desk and laid out a plan. I revisited every detail of our marriage, the accounts, the property titles, the prenup, her email history, and everything I could pull up on Jake's finances. I was not just planning revenge, I was planning a takeover. And in those quiet nights, I cried for the man I used to be. The man who used to believe love meant safety. The man who thought loyalty was sacred. I mourned him like a brother. But the man who rose from those ashes? He was colder. Wiser. Sharper. Second, I took the house. Emily came home on the third day. My neighbor, an older woman who used to bring us pies every Thanksgiving, told me Emily arrived late at night with Jake by her side. They laughed. He carried in bags. Like it was their honeymoon suite now. I did not show up. I did not call. But what she did not know, what neither of them knew, was that I had already called our lawyer. I had already requested the enforcement of the infidelity clause in our prenup. Yes. The clause most people scoff at. The one I only included because my late grandfather insisted on it when he helped fund the down payment on our first house. If either spouse is found guilty of adultery with proof, they forfeit all rights to jointly acquired property unless a settlement is negotiated. So I emailed the security footage. The camera hidden in the hallway showed Jake walking upstairs. 20 minutes later, I walked in. The timestamp sealed the fate. I also sent her emails to my attorney. One of them was from Emily to Jake. It said, "I want to make this work, even if it destroys Daniel. We deserve to be happy." That line alone gave me full leverage. By the end of that week, a temporary order removed her name from the house deed until a hearing. I changed the locks and dropped her clothes at her sister's porch. No note. No explanation. Just bags, a padlock, and silence. Third, I took my power back. Jake thought he could take my wife and walk away untouched. But he forgot he gave me full access to his social media and business accounts when I once helped him build his consulting firm's website. I did not touch anything illegal. I simply scheduled a few posts to go live, all screenshots, all proof of their affair, laced between work-related tweets and client quotes. I blurred faces to avoid lawsuits but left just enough for his close clients to notice. His reputation took a hit. 2 sponsors pulled out. 3 clients paused contracts. Suddenly, Mr. Charming was not so bulletproof. He called me. 17 missed calls. I never answered. I wanted the silence to gnaw at him like rats in the walls. Fourth, I took my freedom. The divorce papers were sent on a Thursday. I did not send flowers this time, just the thick envelope, and inside it, a simple note. You cheated. You lied. You both thought I would break. Instead, I rebuilt. You no longer have a home here, a name here, or a piece of me. Good luck surviving each other. She responded with a 3-page letter handwritten in her perfect cursive. She cried. She begged. She blamed stress. She said it was a mistake. She asked me to remember the vows, the years, the laughter. I read it once and burned it in my fireplace. That night, I slept like a child for the first time in months. But fate had one more knife to twist. 2 weeks after the papers were filed, I got a message on Facebook from a woman named Kara. The profile was bare. Just one picture of her and a baby boy. The message said, "I need to speak to you. It is about Jake and Emily. I thought you deserved to know the truth. It was never just your wife." We met at a diner the next day. She looked exhausted. Worn down. She showed me photos, text threads. Videos. Jake had been seeing her too. For over a year. She was his ex from college. The baby, it turns out, was his. He was cheating on Emily, just like he helped her cheat on me. Karma did not knock. It kicked the door down and dragged them both by the hair. Emily had no idea. Kara had waited until Jake cut her off, then decided to burn him down with the truth. She had seen my post about the affair fallout and realized who I was. She wanted nothing from me, only to set the record straight and bring down the mask Jake wore. I thanked her. I promised not to involve her in any legal matters. But deep down, I smiled like a man watching a villain fall into the hole he dug for someone else. After the court ruling, Emily lost the house, lost her right to spousal support, and had to return the engagement ring, a family heirloom worth almost $30,000. I donated it. Jake? He lost nearly 60% of his clients, faced a paternity suit from Kara, and had to relocate to Atlanta to escape the backlash. I heard he is working under a fake name now. Cowardice never surprised me. Emily tried to call again. This time, she left a voicemail. Her voice was cracked. Hollow. Daniel, please. I do not have anyone. I thought I was doing what made me happy. I was wrong. I miss you. Please talk to me. I need you. I saved it. Not to replay it, but to remind myself that strength is quiet. Revenge is cold. But peace? Peace is earned. By the end of that year, I was 30 pounds lighter, sleeping well, and rebuilding my home exactly how I wanted. I bought new furniture, painted over the walls she once decorated, and adopted a rescue dog named Hunter. I started going out again. I even joined a cooking class, something Emily always mocked me for wanting to try. There, I met Rachel, a teacher with the kindest smile and the most infectious laugh. But this story is not about finding love again, not yet. It is about what happens when a man is broken by betrayal, but chooses not to crumble. When he rises from the ashes, not with fists, but with fire. And I was not done rising yet. I used to believe that healing came with time. That the further you got from pain, the smaller it became. But betrayal is not bound by time. It hides in shadows, creeps into your quietest moments, and whispers doubt when you least expect it. So, I stopped waiting for time to fix me. I chose to rise. Not as the man I was before, but as the man I had to become. After the divorce was finalized, and after I cut off every last tie that bound me to Emily or Jake, I took the deepest breath of my life. A breath not of grief or anger, but of freedom. I started therapy. I sat across from a woman named Dr. Ellis, who did not let me pretend. She tore open my wounds with questions I had buried for years. Why did you ignore your gut? Why did you trust people who stopped earning that trust? Why did you give her everything except your boundaries? And slowly, I began to answer. I poured myself into work with a new energy. My numbers soared. Promotions came faster than I expected. I traveled, first to Colorado, then to Portland, and eventually took a solo trip to Italy where I hiked along the Amalfi Coast and cried like a child at the sight of real beauty untouched by lies. I made new friends. Real ones. People who knew the new me. The version of Daniel that no longer smiled just to keep peace. I laughed again. Not the kind of laugh that hides pain. The real kind, the kind that shakes your chest and makes your eyes water. I even joined a men's support group. Something I once thought was for the weak. Turns out, healing with other broken men builds a kind of strength that iron cannot match. The house? It no longer looked like ours. It was mine now. I knocked down the bedroom wall and rebuilt it into a sunroom. The bed where I found them, I took it to a junkyard myself, smashed it to pieces with a hammer, and filmed the whole thing. Therapeutic destruction. I replaced every photo, every piece of furniture, every scent of her. I painted the walls a deep forest green, added bookshelves, and filled them with the kind of stories I had forgotten I loved: mystery, history, travel, and rebirth. Hunter, my rescue dog, became my shadow. Loyal in a way Emily never was. Every morning, he greeted me like I was the only soul that ever mattered. In some way, that dog helped stitch my soul back together. I did not see her coming. Not in the movies kind of way, not lightning bolts or instant butterflies. She was just, kind. Real. Steady. We met in that cooking class I mentioned. She was not flashy or loud. She wore glasses, had ink-stained fingers from grading papers, and spoke like she was always half listening for something beautiful. We started talking after class. Then texting. Then coffee. One day she showed up at my house with a basket of homemade muffins and no makeup, and I realized how exhausted I had been by the performance of love. Rachel did not perform. She just was. Soft when I needed softness. Quiet when my mind was loud. Honest, painfully so, but it never felt like judgment. Just truth. It was a rainy Thursday. Hunter barked at the door like he always did when a stranger approached. I looked through the peephole and there she was. Soaked, pale, shaking. Emily. She looked nothing like the woman I once knew. Her eyes were hollow. Her lips cracked. Her clothes hung off her like guilt. I opened the door but said nothing. I do not want to fight, she whispered. I have nowhere else to go. Jake left me. Said I was too much to handle. I lost my job. I have been sleeping in my car for 3 days. I just wanted to say sorry. That is all. I let her speak. Not because I needed to hear it, but because she needed to say it. She told me how Jake had a child with someone else. How he never loved her, not truly. How she thought ruining our marriage would free her, but instead, it buried her. I made a mistake, she said, crying into her palms. I destroyed the only man who ever loved me right. I nodded slowly. Yes, you did. That was all I gave her. No hugs. No invitations. No savior speech. I handed her a folded $100 bill, told her I hoped she found peace, and closed the door. Hunter sat beside me as the rain kept falling, and I felt nothing. Not hate. Not pity. Just peace. Months later, Jake emailed me. Subject: I deserve what I got. He poured out his misery in paragraph after paragraph. How he lost his job. His home. His reputation. How he missed the brotherhood we shared. How he thought Emily would fill some void in him that he never could explain. I hope someday you can forgive me, man, he wrote. I do not expect it. But I wanted you to know I live with it every single day. I never responded. Some ghosts do not need exorcism. They just need to be ignored until they vanish. Rachel and I are not perfect. We argue. We disagree on movies. She thinks I am too quiet sometimes, and I think she is too forgiving of rude people in restaurants. But we are real. She knows my past. She respects my scars. And she never tries to be what Emily was. She just tries to be herself. And that is more than enough. We just signed a lease on a cabin by Lake Norman where we will spend our weekends fishing, reading, and growing tomatoes in a garden I never thought I would have. And me? I am not the man I once was. I am stronger. Softer. Wiser. And I know now, pain does not define you. Betrayal does not destroy you. It awakens you. I caught my wife in bed with my best friend. But I took everything, my power, my dignity, my future. And I gave myself back the one thing they tried to steal. My peace.